Hello everyone and welcome to the back nine of the 2022 European Open FPO lead card action. Terry Miller along with Hannah Macbeth. We're at the Beast and right now Paige Pierce is trying to hunt down Eveliina, who's had a few miscues. Also, we're dealing with some inclement weather, rain, cold. Things are very different from what we saw the previous 2 days, and as we said, it's moving day, so time to get some work done.
Yeah, we're moving into the more difficult part of the course, the back nine, starting off with hole 10, and what would many consider to be the first, time the wind really plays into effect here. Hole 10 is 755 feet, par 4. You have this long downhill tee shot, so a lot of wind and conditions can affect your shot. You need it to carry as far as possible, so maximize that distance off the tee. Then you have OB running along the entire left side of the fairway as well as the right. So as you throw your second shot, take that into consideration as well as the fairway tightening significantly. And here we have the green of hole 10 resting beyond a challenging 60-foot wide fairway, about 200 feet in length. Whew, I'm glad Eveliina waited for me. That was a mouthful.
Well, trying to dial up such a punishing hole when you get out of position.
Yeah, that's the mistake there, just not throwing it out right enough or using the right side of the fairway, maybe getting it a bit too high. I feel like this is a much better line, a little bit too straight, needs to come back left, but still plenty safe.
Yeah, and I feel like the last 2 days, so that's 3 for 3, we've seen Paige Pierce just really ignore any kind of cutting the corner and go straight out. And I don't know if that's entirely by design, but she is not messing with that short left side OB whatsoever.
Katrina following suit. Looks like they're going to have some casual water to contend with. And Mertsch's disc turning over as well. Terry, you were on site today. Was there any wind conditions out here that we should note for our viewing audience?
I would say more than anything, it was the inconsistency of the rain. We had just an absolute downpour on holes 7 and 8. They got over to 9 where it really let up. In fact, I feel as if it almost quit entirely. And now as you're seeing with the puddles and everything else here on 10, that it's picked back up yet again. So as soon as you really put away your umbrella or your jacket, you have to pull it back out 2 minutes later. And I think that can really mess with some people just because you're being irritated by that. And Paige flirting along that right side OB, but that is a perfect approach shot from a position that was really somewhat out of position.
Right. Yeah, she had to deal with that hillside just a little bit more than she probably wanted to. And Katrina having a little bit of difficulty here, having to deal with the rain a little bit more than she wants to, and that's created this big puddle on 10's fairway.
Now, any water found out on the course that wasn't there the previous couple days would be considered casual water in this case. So there's a few collection areas, and that puddle being, one of the best examples.
And as you were saying before we kicked off this round, Eveliina just having some trouble off the tee, and she's the only player to find OB so far in 10, so really letting the field catch up to her so far.
So with being out of bounds, she's able to bring it back on the line that she wants.
That looked like a slip there.
Oh, no.
And another OB stroke here.
And she hit the tree branches, and only because I was on site, there was a very, very healthy discussion as to how much she could actually move forward and if she found an inbounds area where she is. And ultimately, they decided that she was inbounds up in this area at the last point. But any good break or fortune she may have gotten on the previous throw, she's giving back right here. And that was launched. That just really had no chance of staying in bounds at all.
Yeah, it almost looked like it was a bit of an overcorrection for Eveliina from those two misfires, just hanging it out wide when the line she had been throwing would have been perfect in that case.
And Pierce
That's fading right. Needs to come back in bounds.
And that's where I'd love to see something. I know she loves that disc, and we talked about it all the way back on hole 2 or hole 3, how much control she has on it. But I also sometimes feel like it's a little too understable.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give you a lot of room for error. If you turn it over, it's just going to probably keep going.
Yeah, and Paige being Discraft, I know they do have some overstable putt and approach discs that are really good. It would be nice to see her try those, but yeah, I'm with you.
And really interesting choice to see Kat Mertsch not take a meter or up to a meter off of the OB line. She has that option to do, even if she's not out of bounds. And right now, Eveliina is just being torn up here by hole number 10.
Great putt.
Wow, right side corner pocket and in.
Yeah, she just slowed down, took a couple extra breaths, lined up her body, and made good on that putt. Nicely done. It looks like Kat will take relief from here.
So, just for everyone at home, even when you're not out of bounds, you can take up to 1 meter and bring it back in bounds. You don't have to take a full meter. You can take up to 1 meter. That doesn't count against you in any way. You get that 1 meter relief if you so choose, and that's exactly what she's done here.
Nice putt.
Very solid putting stroke here by Kat Mertsch. And just when we thought that, she was going to take a very low number compared to Eveliina, she gives back one of the strokes by going out of bounds and then doesn't convert on that short putt.
Yeah, it seemed like she rushed it a little bit. Maybe the break in the rain. She didn't really take the time to go through her normal putting routine.
And what a missed opportunity for Pierce. You know that she's just stewing there, thinking about what did I just do? And we find the quick tap in, and now they're going to move to a hole that's really no easier whatsoever on 11.
Yeah, hole 11, 394 feet. So, reachable, but I don't think the risk is there. I don't think the reward outweighs the risk here. So I think the main play here is just that short layup in the small pocket. Throw an approach from there. The risk, of course, is the OB, which follows along the right side and the left side and pretty much all over this hole. Players usually have to swing their shot out over the OB the entire way and then come back in bounds, but sometimes we see those light poles act like guards, keeping the discs from returning in bounds, and I'm talking about the light poles on the right. That is tracking. This looks like it's going to be a good shot. Yeah. Nicely done. I like this hole in that it is very challenging, but I do appreciate how it really tests the player's touch and control. And I love that those two skills are being tested the most here at the Visa Nokia because this is a major. And I just feel like the champion should have those two under control.
I completely agree. And if I was being maybe a little bit demanding, I would love to see this tee for the FPO field about 50 feet closer. I think that would make this hole excellent.
Oh, no.
And that just barely dunks in for Paige Pierce. I'd like to amend my previous statement. I would go with 30 feet shorter. I think that would still give our bigger armed throwers an advantage. Mm-hmm. If they were 30 feet, the tee pad was 30 feet closer, I think this hole would be so much more competitive.
Oh, this is an uncharacteristic mistake from Katrina. It's got to be something with her grip in these wet conditions. Normally those little hyzer approach shots are her bread and butter.
Yeah, just a little flick, just like we're seeing there from Kat Mertsch. And you're not going to be surprised to hear that hole 11 playing as one of the most difficult holes on the course. Just not a lot of opportunities here for birdie. We got a patent pending stands first out of Eveliina.
Yeah, really nicely done.
And I look back to round number 1. She had almost the exact same position. She had the exact same throw, and she gave that one a bid at almost going in as well. So this played at 4.29 as the second most difficult hole on the course. And birdie count, 0. But Paige has the opportunity here to save the par. Oh, she really had to hold herself so she didn't dunk herself in the lake.
Yeah, I'm
the
surprised.
Little pond.
I guess I'm kind of surprised that she didn't take a little bit further, like come a little bit further back, given her follow through. But at the same time, you don't want to take yourself too far away from the back.
Pierce for bogey.
Good putt there.
And Eveliina will walk away with the par.
Katrina.
Just 25% of our field taking pars there today. So,
And the long walk to hole number 12. We arrive at the 600-foot par 4. This is a new tee placement, so the elevation and the OB really comes into play on the tee shot. Off the tee, there's a hillside facing right to left, so ankle control is super necessary here. I'm excited to see how it goes in this hole. There's the low ceiling and the slope, which, I mean, we've seen the low ceiling and we've seen the slope. So now that they're together, I want to know how aggressive these women are getting today, how fast of drivers they're throwing on this hole. And then we have the green, quick drop off on the left. So maybe about 15 feet from the basket, they've got some difficulty there if they carry too far. I would say definitely a makeable par 4 if you get off the fairway. Oh my gosh, if you get off the tee very clean.
and then find the fairway.
Yes, thank you.
It could be a very makeable 3 on the par 4.
That's why you're here, Terry.
We'll get there together, Hannah.
Nice drive there from Mertsch.
The higher you get up on the hill, the easier your run-up is going to be. So that's why it's so crucial. And we look to Paige here, who's just lining her shot up with a putter, playing for that accuracy. And that's pulled hard to the right. And that is a very, very favorable kick. You could throw into that tree probably 100 times, and I'm not sure you're going to get much better of a kick out. So silver lining there to possibly still save the par.
Sneaking under those low-hanging branches and onto the fairway, Katrina Allen with her first shot.
Well, I think her reaction tells us everything about that shot. Not necessarily loving it.
Wide forehand there. She's going to have that one tree in her way, but distance is good. Getting down closer to the basket is good. Mertsch with her second shot. fighting its way through a tree nicely.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about her landing there along with what we just saw from Eveliina. They're certainly not in position for the birdie, but if you have a somewhat of a stress-free next shot so you can just walk away with the par, you are not losing any strokes to the field. In fact, you're going to be gaining strokes on the field in doing so.
It looked like uncomfortable footing there from Katrina. You saw her plant and just try to follow through, but pretty uncomfortable on that hillside.
Yeah, and what you really couldn't see is that somehow, even though Katrina threw directly into the trees, they popped out on the other side. So quite fortunate to get to where she did. This hole averaged 4.79 as Cat puts it right onto the wood chips. 8th most difficult. Pushing over to that right side. She'll have likely somewhat of a straddle with that one tree. Cat Mertsch in similar territory with a little more open look.
Oh, wow.
That was a full commitment there by Pierce. Knowing how nasty that left side area is, just a few feet behind the pin. It's a bold move to be bringing that into play at all, but Pierce right next to the basket.
Nice putt. Good commitment and follow through there, nice and low.
Again, not mad about taking the par 4 here. Eveliina lining up, or at least looking for her attempt at a par. And you see her left foot was slipping ever so slightly.
And
now her right
slipping.
foot's slipping, her knee is slipping. She's just trying to get... If it ain't the Finnish nettles, it's definitely the Finnish mud that'll get you.
Yeah, something.
Said no one ever.
Yeah, I mean, she's close enough. She's just got to get her arm on line. But this is one thing that she does struggle with is just following through. I think she's got it, though. Yeah, nice putt.
Yeah, and just thinking, really, if I'm in her head, she's probably thinking, I'm this close. This shouldn't be so frustrating and such a difficult putt. And then dealing with the potential slips, but no problem. And really very well played by this card. Pierce will card the bogey, but the other 3 taking pars. And they're going to move over to hole 13 in a moment. But first we take a look. And
no one really giving the top 4 too much trouble. Hannah Blomroos maybe getting a little bit close to Cat Mertsch. Kona Panish jumping up a bunch of spots, now sitting tied for 6th. But it's the same group of 10 women sort of shuffling around. Hole number 13, par 4, 614 feet. We've got this tight tunnel, difficult tee shot. So players need to manage this off the tee. We've got 2 trees, one on each side that sort of make that tunnel. And once you pass through, not only are you faced with the low ceiling, but you have the hill climbing, making the gap even smaller. So I'm sure a lot of hill shots will hit the hill or the trees, but I'm looking for drives that make it out of the gap with the birdie potential, because once they make it out, it's a very wide open fairway, and you get yourself into a different... If you get yourself into a decent spot, then you should be able to birdie, or par would be a good score here as well. Yeah, and Eveliina really struggling to get off the tee today, and this is another example of how she doesn't have that on lock for today. Nice hyzer flip out the gap. It lifts. That's an amazing shot.
It is every bit amazing and then some. To find yourself out anywhere near those, purple leafed trees out there is very impressive. everyone would take that shot. And looks like maybe a little slip and a pull to the right for Katrina Allen. And it's always frustrating to slip, but when you do it on such a tightly wooded hole, it feels like everything's just exaggerated.
Yeah, Paige pulling that a little bit right, but fighting through the gaps. She'll have a look for her birdie as well.
And I was fortunate enough to be standing behind the tee and watching that, and not sure that angle did it justice. Paige Pierce's shot hit off a tiny little branch and then hit the smallest gap in the world and carried forward a few hundred feet. So 1 in a million shot, as we see a little frustration, understandably, by Eveliina. Yeah, she's found the neighbor's backyard on that right-hand side, and she's out of bounds.
Yeah, I liked the play of the forehand roller, but unfortunately just picked up, got away from her a little bit.
And there's actually the neighbor's houses in the background there. She goes to the forehand on the downhill approach, and
beautiful.
You know, she's going to bring that tree into play a little bit, but that is right around circle's edge, and we'll see if she's got to look around the other side of it. And look at Paige's drive, which was very fortunate to get as far as it did. And then we'll see where Cat Mertsch is, another 80 feet in front of her.
That's very high. There's going to be a lot of movement to that disc when it hits. Unless it comes into contact with the tree. That's a nice play. A crash landing.
She'll have to then make a decision. How aggressive does she want to be on the putt?
I think she'll run it. I don't know. There's not really anything past the basket.
Except for a big downhill slope.
Is it really that sloping on this? Well, I can't remember.
It really is. And Katrina Allen had the distance, but off the mark on the left-hand side. We'll see if she has anything from in there. I'm guessing not. And I just simply can't say enough about this drive. This is crushed and in a perfect position. Can she take advantage is the real question. Looks like it needs a little more distance, maybe some skip.
I like it. Oh, there's the hill you were speaking to.
Yeah,
You're right.
Came in a little too fast.
It's like you've been walking the course a lot or something.
So Eveliina trying to make up for a few errant throws, and that doesn't find any metal at all.
There was full commitment there, but a little bit too much.
Yeah. And I'm outside the circle. You are. Okay, thank you. I'll just go if I... Okay.
Katrina, seeing that she's buried in there, I don't think she's going to take a lot of time when she does get in there. But first, here's Pierce.
Taking
from
her
circle
time.
2.
I think she's going for it. Has the height. Nice make.
Taking full advantage. I'm going to call it lucky, and that's not no offense to her, and I think she'd agree. The lucky tee shot that got through, that found the clearing. She throws a pretty good second shot, and then wraps it all up with a really solid putt. Meanwhile, she's looking at the struggles from both Kat and Eveliina at this point. This could be a huge stroke swing.
Yeah, and she needs it because this back nine has not gotten off to a great start.
That's just a step inside the circle. This is 30 feet.
A bit too high again. Good commitment, good follow through. Just a little bit off with the distance gauge there.
Wouldn't it be great if you had like a laser or like a spidey web you could just like shoot out of your wrist when you're trying to like get the disc to stop because it's about to roll?
It would, but I think if I had those things, I wouldn't
play disc
be
golf.
using them for disc golf.
You'd find other uses?
Yeah, like fighting crime. Because with great power comes great responsibility.
I'm fighting crime against par. Eveliina trying to get...
There it is. Great height control. Nice putt. She's taking some heavy hits here on the beast, but she's also playing through them relatively well, just maintaining composure. It's all about conserving here.
Hole 13 played as the 5th most difficult, averaging 4.96. There was one birdie on the day.
Wow.
And you were treated to it exclusively here on the Disc Golf Network.
Hole 14, 361-foot par 3. This is a reachable hole with a difficult shape. The trees on the left have really grown in, so you have to push the disc left to right and have to have the height to clear those trees. It is possible to get caught up in them, but if you do clear them, you'll have an open look to the basket. No hills to speak of, unless you mean the one that most likely spectators and cameramen will be standing on. Nothing that comes into play. So no obstacles there. It will be hard to keep your disc turning that long though, so we'll be looking for height and power behind the drives. A little bit off on the tee today for Paige Pierce.
Yeah, and very fortunate to continue to push through most of the obstacles she found there on the left side. And if there's been a theme this week where Paige Pierce's driving has been off, it's been early releases on the left side. And that's something she's certainly going to have to get dialed in here.
It's a good drive for Kat. Nice line, just a little low, but I like the hyzer flip play. Looks like we'll see Katrina maybe going for the same thing.
13 averages 3.25. It has the 13th most difficult hole on the course for hole 14.
Yeah, these women are really bringing that left side into play a little bit too much. I know you want to get your disc up high and on the left so it has room to turn over, but it's just going too far left and it's coming into contact with those branches. Paige with a scramble.
And what you saw there a moment ago was them going through hole number 13 to make sure that they had the scoring officially correct. I believe initially she was marked for a double bogey 6, and then it was corrected to be the triple bogey 7. So Pierce had gained 4 strokes on her on the previous hole. Nice little forehand flick. We don't see her with a lot of forehand putter shots.
Yeah.
Usually she's very proficient in flicking a overstable driver of sorts, but you don't see her with a lot of forehand putter shots.
This has the height. Oh, great run.
Kat Mertsch looking to connect from circle 2.
Doesn't make it, but she's not necessarily adding to her scorecard either. Nice par.
Pierce also going to walk away with the par. And Eveliina and now Katrina also all collecting their pars.
Hole 15. This one has changed from previous years. It used to be a par 4 and the basket used to be hidden behind those trees on the right, but now it's visible from the tee shot and it's a shorter basket position, par 3. Not much shorter though. At 509 feet, it's still it's a big ask off the tee, and I don't think anyone will answer. So a birdie is just not here for our competitors. It's not a matter of skill or distance. Obviously, just the risk outweighing the reward here. Keeping this hole as simple as possible, especially with the elevated basket. So that being said, it's about 350 to 400 to the water. And then you've got to have a nice approach touch shot from there. So severely downhill off the tee. This is dropping nicely. That's a great shot. Nice low follow through there. This is a beautiful shot. That was so well done.
I was thinking you couldn't really draw it up any better if you're just playing for the nice conservative layup, which I feel like most of our division will be doing. You want to do it exactly as
Look at this.
Mertsch or Katrina Allen are doing
A little
it.
break in the rain, and these competitors are taking full advantage. Yesterday we saw what looked like a run from Eveliina. This one's a little lower. Nice and safe.
Just when I, really wanted to praise what we saw from Kat Mertsch and from Katrina Allen, both really good layups. Eveliina does it even better and makes for quick work here for the two-time world champ.
Yeah, and this is another stressful shot. There's a couple porta potties off to the left, and obviously a lot of disc golf going around, so not all the spectators are focused and paying attention, so there's a lot of noise. Hole 16's basket is just beyond. There's a lot going on. It's tough to remember all of that as you're sitting, watching, taking in the coverage with us, so we're here to remind you. Oh no, that's tracking OB.
Yeah, it stays out of the pond. However, it still finds the OB, as you mentioned, and
just the smallest of mistakes and resulting in an OB stroke. That's so unfortunate.
yeah, and maybe what's most frustrating about that is that there is plenty of room to the left side to work with there. She was in a really good position. Sometimes commentators will use terms like unforced errors. This is exactly one of those examples to me. I feel like she had great position. She really had a relatively simple up and down and just pulled it short. She does, however, get that one to drop in. And so limiting the damage to just the bogey, but
Yeah, and what a clean back nine we've seen from Kat. I mean, hole 15 really does kick off the last four hardest holes at the Beast. I think they're the hardest holes of all time in disc golf, and the fact that they're sequential is just icing on the cake. But yeah, really clean so far, which is nice. Here's Paige Pierce for her par putt.
you and your alliteration here.
Yes, it's something.
Kat trying to remain stress-free. Short putt on 15 here. And I believe, if I've heard correctly, there is a 10,000 euro ace
Right.
reward if anyone aces hole number 15. Not too likely, but I think that's why they take out insurance on it and offer up 10,000 euros, as we're seeing Paige Pierce just trying to close the gap between her and Eveliina. And others slowly making their way up the board. As we mentioned earlier, a cut to the top 16. They will all move into Championship Sunday, and we move on to hole number 16.
Yeah, this is one of the most iconic holes here out at the Beast. It's the bunker hole with its own unique rules. So obviously tons of OB to contend with off the tee. We've seen it come into play in previous rounds, so hopefully we don't see that out of our competitors today. But if they do happen to throw any shot out of bounds, they're not penalized, but the throw counts towards their score. So depending on where you land in bounds off the tee, you have to make the decision to lay up even closer to this island that we're looking at here, or carry it over the OB going for the island from distance. The green is obviously very small. At its furthest point, it's about circle 2, and at its widest, it goes around 30 feet. So the biggest challenge on this hole to me is the green because it's so small. And if you miss the island, you don't just get those discs back. You've just got to keep throwing with what you have in your bag.
I love the conservative wide play here for Paige Pierce.
Yeah, I do as well. We know she's known for her distance. Really nice to see her have that control as well.
This is playing as the 10th most difficult, averaging 0.58 over the par 4 that it's listed as. And notice the contrast in what we just saw from Pierce. The high, wide, sweeping hyzer, and then you look at Cat going with almost a laser beam right up the middle. Both very effective, but done completely different ways.
These women have been going head to head for years, and they couldn't be more different in the way that they break down fairways on tour.
Fair to say they also know each other's games better than anyone else because of all of these great battles that they've had. Eveliina somewhat splits the difference. Great tee shot. Cat visualizing what she wants to do.
It seems like she likes that down the middle gap as well. Must be a favorable wind. It looks like it's blowing left to right, so definitely would make it favorable for that kind of shot.
And being back this far, this really kind of forces your hand, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like she's just going for the layup here. We saw her come up short in the previous round and take a big number on this hole. She's just laying up, keeping it safe, getting herself close to the island. Still a tricky third shot, but not as far. And Katrina going for the layup as well. It's interesting in watching this angle of her throw. It's almost like she's going to pick up her steady and throw the exact same shot to the basket. Same distance and everything.
Just trying to get it dialed in. Eveliina, on the other hand, says, I'm going for it.
I've got this. This looks good. Just needs to slow down. Oh, come back in. Nicely done. Oh, big sigh of relief from Eveliina.
Also noticing that, just less than an hour ago, everybody's getting poured on. Everybody had umbrellas out. And now temperatures are still in the mid 60s. So it's very comfortable and moderate, but
humid.
Yes, different conditions, very much so than what we had started with. And one of the things Paige had said coming into the round, she told me, yeah, I think I have 10 towels packed along.
Wow.
And she just really wanted to make sure that she was fully prepared and not stuck with, really out of position. Eveliina, on the other hand, she said she brought her raincoat, but forgot to bring it along with her today.
Oh, no.
That's why we saw her getting poured on.
And you mentioned the towels in the front nine as well and said that we would get into it. Are those her towels?
Well, they're not. In fact, I think it was Adora, I believe, who earlier had run into her, realized she didn't have enough towels. So a spectator essentially helped her out and brought her more towels to use during the round.
Love that. Great fierce shot from Paige Pierce. Nice little putter approach there. Cat Mertsch opting for the forehand. It looks nice. Just needs to be far enough, and that is the mistake. It wants to cut, so you've really got to put a lot on it, but the landing zone is only 30 feet, so it's a tough touch to have. Got to trust it out straight just a little bit more. That looks like it has it.
It's tracking right to the pin, and great correction.
She is in love.
And speaking of corrections, I apologize. It is Adara who was the spectator that helped her out. So big shout out to Adara.
Making use of the left side of the... No way.
Yeah, that's the wider, longer part of the green, but it just barely slides out. And now she goes for what I believe is the same mold, but maybe a different plastic type.
Yeah, and wider this time. Must be a little bit more stable. That's a great shot. Great correction there. I think maybe just misjudged the height on the first one. Really easy to do. And it's these little frustrating mistakes for Katrina Allen that she's sort of been making all day. Nothing too crazy, but enough to take her out.
Paige Pierce doing some work.
Eveliina really hoping to connect here. Yeah, great one. And I believe that is birdie for Eveliina.
Yeah, it is. There were just 2 birdies on the day. So incredibly impressive as it averaged 4.58. And maybe even more impressive, Liso, is Heyday Line,
Yeah.
who we saw struggle on this hole. She was the only other birdie to accompany Eveliina. So
Wow.
a great comeback, the resilience, and stepping up and committing to her game plan. We saw her really struggle mightily in round 2. So love the birdie here in round 3 as they head over to the Treacherous 17.
Yeah, and speaking of commitment, you definitely need it on this hole. It's a little bit out of range at 459 feet. There's just OB so tight, and there's not that much room to shape your shot. But it's still the same challenge whether you're attacking the green or not. Throw it in bounds as far as you can. This hole is tricky specifically for the fast green and the slanting hillside. It just wants to pull the disc down left the entire way, and it has caused so many rollaways. I think we could probably have everyone who's had a rollaway maybe donate $1 next time and then have an ace pot.
But it's got to be a roller ace.
It would be so awesome.
And this is a full send.
This is excellent. Tracking down towards the basket, and that grass is just gonna carry it. And even with all that, I mean, she's not parked. This
No.
hole is really hard.
But that has to be one of the best drives in the entire FPO division.
Yeah.
And we'll see if possibly, no, Paige with the slip.
Yeah, it's got to get down. That's going to be bringing that OB into play. That's so unfortunate because, oh, you just hate to see, that because you just want everyone to have their best go at things. She gets over on that. That's a nice, I'd say it's a relatively conservative effort. I mean, definitely went full force behind it.
This hole average 3.67, so 2/3 of a stroke over par.
Oh, she's not in love with that line. It's got to slow down. It's safe, but it's not that's not a lot of distance taken off the tee. Look at this downhill slope. It's so intense. And kind of unlike I think it's hole number 7. We don't see the slope really carry the discs towards the basket. That's not really the play because the grass acts like such a Velcro and just wants to hold the disc in place. Like, we're not seeing too much movement out of Katrina's disc there. Very different greens than the front nine, that's for sure. Paige with her third after adding a stroke due to her OB.
And decision time for Eveliina from 45 feet.
Yeah, just a layup.
Correction, 15 meters. And on the easy ones, I have to use them when I can. So great play by Eveliina. Again, gaining strokes on the field by walking away with a tap-in par.
Yeah, she's played the last few holes really clean and definitely gained strokes on the field because of it.
And there was a little distraction that Kat heard. Tough to tell if it was in the middle of her release or if it was possibly just after. But either way, a little distraction, and you see her frustrated, which you don't often see. She's been very good at shaking things off.
I mean, it's really understandable. This is such a long round, and as we said before, it's so mentally draining because you have to stay focused and be intentional about everything. There's really never a stretch of this course that you're like, oh, good, we're here. I can, take my foot off the gas. I can kind of just breathe a little easier. The holes open up. I don't have to worry about things as much. That is not the case here at Nokia.
And Kat jams that in. Gonna make the brief walk over to 18's tee, and
A hometown hero in Eveliina Salonen.
love to see it.
On hole 18, the signature hole, par 4, 699 feet. Lots of OB on the left and the right side. So off the tee, you can either hang out on the left side, travel back inbounds, risk staying OB, or do the same thing, but go on the right side. Can't really go too much further because of the guardian trees off the tee. Once you're on the fairway, you have the option to go for the green, or you just want to get to the next neck of the fairway. Really, really, really tight and OB on the left and right. So it's really easy for any mistake to travel OB, which means an added score or an added penalty stroke to your scorecard.
Well, and if you thought you were done after 3.5 or 4 hours, you're not. This is the most difficult hole on the course.
And Eveliina seemingly proving me wrong, because she's just like, I'm not worried about the trees. I'll go around them, and I'm not going to take OB into consideration at all.
That was really just a smile in your face saying,
I think so. Yeah, that's why we're sitting and she's on the fairway and not me. Still a really, really special shot, though. Katrina with a similar line. Good shot there.
And to compare and contrast what you see from where Katrina is to where Eveliina is, that's at least 100 feet.
Yeah. I was going to say that really is not a lot of distance, especially for a player like Katrina.
However, it will give Katrina some different options. And we've seen Paige struggle on the tee here. And that flirts with the OB. Does it find inbounds? And it does. It stays in bounds.
Yeah, not great placement, though. And she knows it out of her hand.
But she's also thinking, well, I'm not planning to throw B 3 times like I did in round 1 here either.
Yeah.
So she's safe off the tee, and she has some decisions to make. Meanwhile, Kat Mertsch, nice, controlled.
Yeah, good follow through there.
Just drifting into the center of the fairway.
I think angle integrity is like one of the biggest differences between amateur women and pro women. And if you're watching from home and you want to get better, just pay attention to the follow through and the commitment on these drives, because even this one, this is like the most common mistake on 18, just leaving it short and not letting it come back in bounds. She had the perfect line and angle control on that disc. Just needed a little more height or a little bit more power.
So as you saw, she only was able to move up 10 or 12 feet, so to speak, and now is just looking to find the narrow fairway, and she's done just that.
And if you're wondering, the sponsors that are hugging the side of 18, they don't move. They will get as close to you as possible and stay there to take in every moment of disc golf. And I don't blame them, but it is one factor that these pros will have to deal with, being on the lead card. This is a nice show of the disc. Getting up into that neck of 18 nicely.
Keep in mind this averaged 5.46, so a full stroke and a half
Paige,
over par.
Yes, sorry. Paige with a window. A full stroke and a half. Yeah, it's so easy to just add strokes with mistakes.
Wow, and she actually does make the clearing out of her hand. She didn't think she had enough, and she didn't realize the result. She got the green flag, but she did not think that she put enough on it. Just before she had lined that up, she took a look at the scorecard on UDisc and said out loud, well, even if I bogey this, I'm still going to be on the lead card. And then she switched up her disc. She went from a Zeus to a different disc to her Surge SS and put it all the way up there. So interesting mindset by Paige Pierce in this last hole.
Yeah, and Eveliina tracking too much on the right side and carrying OB.
And not the day that Eveliina had in round number 2, where she shot a 4 under par.
Yeah, she had that slow start in the front 9, and even though she cleaned things up a bit, she did take some big numbers here in the back 9. Nice relief, though. Good approach there from Cat Mertsch. Paige Pierce with her birdie putt.
It is, and if she could convert, she'd be the only birdie on the day.
Oh, beautiful.
That's exactly what she does. So Paige Pierce,
when she does her routine twice, I get so excited because I know that the potential for her making it goes up. Seeing her take her time and just really study it out, it's nice. I'm like, here we go.
Say it enough. This field is so competitive, and just when you think a lead might be safe, Eveliina Salonen came into round number 3 with an 8-stroke lead. Paige said later that her goal was to maybe cut that lead in half and only be 4 behind. Well, she's done even better, and she has now cut the deficit to Eveliina Salonen to just 2 strokes. Eveliina struggling to close out in the last few holes, and Pierce will be just 2 back.
Oh, it's in.
That's in.
It's in.
That's in, and we're out of here. Heck yeah, I feel the same, Kat. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll take a quick look at the scores, but we are 3/4 of the way through this PDGA Major. Your 2022 European Open has Eveliina Salonen out in front, but a very slim 2-stroke lead. Hannah Blumrose and Cat Mertsch will join us on the lead card for round number 4. It's Championship Sunday. We'll see you there.
I'm
Terry
so
Miller,
excited.
the disc golf guy. We've got Hannah Macbeth. She's so excited.
See you guys.